Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sophie. Last night I picked up a paperback book. Are you proud of me? I always read things on my Kindle, but I have this paperback, The Tattooist of Auschwitz. Now this is a book I've had for a while. I actually bought it from a secondhand store. So it has like these pretty, what are they called? Like beveled edges or something when they're like not evenly cut. It's not a super old book. I think it was published 2018. I'm gonna start this book and we'll see throughout the rest of the week how much I get to. I'm gonna try to get a good chunk of it done right now. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, just to give you like my first initial thoughts, as far as like a summary goes, I don't know much going into this book, but I can assume enough. Obviously it's called A Tattooist from Auschwitz, so it's about a guy who's a tattooist in Auschwitz. It takes place in World War II, and when we meet our first character, who is Lael, he is on the train headed to Auschwitz, and I think he lived in, where did it say that he lived? It didn't say where exactly he lived, but it says that he's a Slovakian Jew. This is definitely a book about the Holocaust, in case it wasn't abundantly clear already, and I'm assuming this guy Lael becomes a tattooist in Auschwitz, because of course they tattoo like the numbers of each inmate. If you guys have watched any of my previous like wrap-up video, well, I haven't actually made a wrap-up video yet, but my video where I ranked all the books that I've read so far in 2024, one book that I did read was called Why Explain the Holocaust by Peter Hayes. I'll put a picture of it right here. It was a really good nonfiction book that I actually read for one of my English classes last semester in college, and I talked about a lot of specifics that I feel like a lot of people didn't know about. I actually did a whole research paper about specifically like the Catholic influence in the Holocaust at the end of last semester. Really do recommend this book. It was very good. But one thing about me is I'm always very interested in World War II and the Holocaust. I think it's obviously a topic that is very much overwhelmed with media, but also it's very much necessary because I think it's something that needs to be learned from, obviously. So I do enjoy reading books. Well, I guess enjoy is not the best word to use because it's a very sad period of time to read about, but I do think it's interesting and informative to read about those kinds of books. So I read one nonfiction earlier this year, and this is a fiction book of the same time period, and I want to get into reading more, but I do have high hopes for this. Everyone says it's really good. I'll try to get further in this later today, and I'll update you guys my thoughts tomorrow. Hello, it's Tuesday, and I've been a pretty bad vlogger so far this week, but I was recording the amount of pages that I've read every day. So I talked to you guys on Saturday, and after I finished filming, I basically read about 20 pages. I didn't get that far because I had to go to dinner. Then on Sunday, I vlogged a little bit, and I read from page 20 to like 75, so 55 pages. Pretty decent. Again, super busy day. Yesterday, I basically read nothing, which is why I didn't vlog, because I was just super busy. Now this morning, I did pick up Tattooist of Auschwitz again. I think I'm on page 99, so literally almost 100 pages in. So that's about 25 pages that I read this morning. I'm gonna continue to read a little bit more tonight and tell you guys my thoughts, but I also have been thinking about starting a different book and reading 2 books at once this week. This is going okay. My thoughts so far is that the story is good, and from the like preface at the beginning of the book, it's apparently a fictional story, but it's based on a true story, so I can't really say too much about it because obviously if it's someone's personal experience, especially experience in a concentration camp, I cannot say anything against that. However, I think the writing is what's getting me. So far, it's very much tell and not show. There's basically no descriptions of anything, and if there is a description, it's very vague, very short. It reads much older than 2018 in my opinion. I feel like some books written in the mid 20th century have similar writing style to this, where it's like Lael did this, then Lael did that. And what's also interesting is it's divided into a lot of different sections. Let me find the page that's like not spoilery. If you can see on this page, there's like a section break there and a section break there. The section breaks are so often, it's like they're all these little miniature chapters in each chapter, but they're so short that you really can't get a full picture of the scene, the description, what's actually happening. It's basically just the bare minimum to tell the story. And like I said, it's a short book. It's not going to be crazy descriptions, but I would like to feel more invested into the characters and what's happening. If it wasn't a story about something as horrifying as like concentration camps, as working in Auschwitz in World War II, I would not be interested in continuing reading because the writing style is not hooking me at all. The only thing that is hooking me is the story and the plot. So we'll see how I rate it. I'm kind of looking at a 3-star right now, but I'm gonna keep reading a little further, get a couple more chapters in, and we'll see what happens. other thing about this book that doesn't really bother me, but is something to note, is it's completely written in third person. Now, I don't mind third person, although I do think in general it does partially take away from like how close you feel to the characters, because obviously in first person you're like in the person's head. Not a huge issue, but I do know that some people don't like third person at all, so if you don't like third person, this may not be the book for you. But I also recommend people just like trying it anyway, because it doesn't ruin a book by any means, but it is just something to note about the story. Leo seems to be a really nice guy. He is at a place of power in the concentration camp because he is the tattooer, so he is like not a normal prisoner. He's still a prisoner, but he has its own room. He doesn't live in one of the blocks. He gets to walk around more freely, and he also apparently speaks like 4 or 5 languages fluently, which is very impressive. He's always trying to like help other people and make their situation in this like awful place a little better, which is, you know, admirable for sure, and makes him a very like likable character, even if we are still only scratching the surface of like character development. Another thing about this book is the romance is progressing very quickly. Like I said, descriptions are minimal and things seem to be happening very fast. I think it's already been like a year so far. Most contemporary romances, it like, you know, builds up to their first kiss or builds up to saying I love you, things like that are like quote unquote monumental moments in a relationship. You know, in a story, it's like good to like build up to those moments. In this book, we're brushing by them so fast, it's almost like it's expected. If they've known each other for almost a year, maybe that makes sense, but this book has gone by so fast, it doesn't feel like a year, it feels like maybe 2 months. And also, since they are in a concentration camp, like life or death situation every single day, obviously relationships would progress a lot faster than a normal one. This is obviously a very different situation. It's also like 1943, but it's just weird because like I know it's part romance, but I don't really feel any romantic chemistry at all. I'm just shocked this book was written in 2018. It feels like a much older book. Things to think about, but I'm gonna keep reading and I'll let you guys know tomorrow what my thoughts are or if I move on to something else. So we'll see. Okay, this lighting is kind of fun. You know it doesn't look good, girl? The speck that's on your cheek. Yeah. Okay. Quick update, but it's currently Wednesday and I didn't read very much last night. What a shocker. I'll update what page I got to like right here so you can see it, but I did want to pop in and say the book I was talking about yesterday that I was thinking about reading is called Crow, which is the first book in the Boston Underworld series. Now I actually read this book 3 years ago, almost exactly 3 years ago actually. I think it was July of 2021 for the first time, and I gave it 5 stars. Like I absolutely loved this book and the sequel. It was one of the first like mafia books that I really got into, and so in the past couple years I remember reading it and loving it, but I don't remember any of the plot. I barely remember the characters, and I wanted to reread it and see if it was up to the same standard that I held it to when I first read it. So I picked up this book last night, did not get very far into it, but I think I'm going to try to read some today, tonight, going into the rest of the week, because The Tattooist of Auschwitz is, you know, I told you guys my thoughts about that, but it's also like not a book you really read for fun. It's pretty sad, as you guys know, so I wanted to read something a little lighthearted to like balance the mood a little bit. And also, since this one I've read before, even though I don't remember everything, I'm sure that things will come back to me as I read it, so I want to get something that'll be like light, relatively fluffy. Yeah, this is really like duality here between these 2 books, but I'll let you guys know what I think about that and see if it holds up to the same 5-star rating that I gave it when I first read it 3 years ago. I'm curious about the writing style in this book. I'm currently working my way through the Crow, the Boston Underworld series that I mentioned to you guys yesterday. This is a mafia book, like I said, so of course, especially if this is like a first mafia book that someone is reading, which is definitely not for me, but in case it is, the author has to kind of explain the background of the mafia, or at least their mafias and mobs in their particular world and their story. And so the first couple chapters, of course, have to have some exposition, but I'm kind of questioning if it's the right amount of exposition or if it's a little more tell and not show, because the characters are both in their inner monologues like explaining a lot of the mafia, but it may be a little too much. Like they're trying to just info dump everything about the mafia on you right away. I'm still like debating whether or not that's like a good thing to give a good amount of background, or if it's a little too much and some of this information could have been told through like walking with the characters through actions and things, and like maybe dialogue, or maybe, you know, showing not telling. I think this is a little more tell not show. I don't know. I'm only like 10% of the way through, so I can't really say if it's too much yet, but I'm still kind of thinking about it. Okay, one thing I am loving about this though is the main character, Mackenzie. I remember her being like a badass when I first read it, but like reading this like chapter right now before she goes to get a job, because basically she has a sister named Tal who went missing and she thinks it has something to do with the mafia. So she's gonna go get a job in the mafia and like investigate herself. There's a very loud car outside and I wish they would do me a favor and shut up. Anyway, she's gonna go get a job there, but she can't just like walk in and ask for a job because it's like the mafia, right? So she said that she's just gonna knock someone out and get their attention. And I'm just like, I love her for that. Like I love a good strong female main character. It makes me really like appreciate her as a character because I'm like, yeah girl, beat him up. You know, I'm not gonna stop you. Have your fun. So what's the matter, princess? Scared of a little girl? I love that. It's pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm hooked. This is like a tiny spoiler, but it's like the first 10% of the book, so it's not a huge thing. But of course she wins the fight. Of course she wins the fight, because she's just that girl. And I love her. I love her. Cheers. Daily reminder to hydrate if you haven't already, because the Lord knows I'm bad at it. Reading update. So Crow is going really, really well. I'm not gonna lie, there's a fly flying around. Hello? I'm really invested in this. It's so entertaining. I don't remember it being like this good. And it's honestly well written. And I'm saying surprising, not because I'm like doubting the book or doubting the author, but I remember when I first got into Mafia, I just like picked any Mafia book that go away, fly. I just picked any Mafia book that people were recommending, and sometimes they had really good writing and sometimes they had really bad writing, and I would read it all. So it was basically like a 50-50 chance if this book was going to be actually like well written, and it actually is. Like, it's fast paced, I'm invested, pretty sexy too, I'm not gonna lie. Like, we already got a little, not a scene, but like we got some you know, basically they've had some moments so far and I'm loving it. I'm eating up all the little crumbs that they're giving us. I'm currently on page 74, and I'm not gonna lie, I want to be really honest in this video because it is a realistic reading week. I really wanted to read more this week than I did. I'm actually very busy right now, which is fine. I don't mind being busy, but it also means I'm not reading as much. I have my phone here for a little catch up. So Wednesday I read pages 1 through 22, and yesterday, Thursday, I read pages 22 to 67, and then this morning I read from 67 to 74, which is only like 8 pages, so it's really not even that much. I'm gonna go read some more, but all that to say that like I've been trying to read every day a little bit because of this video, but I really just haven't had the time to read very much. That being said, I am really, really loving Crow, and I'm intending to finish it at some points. Too early to say if I'm gonna be able to keep my 5-star rating that I started out with, but I'd be surprised if it drops lower than a 4-star because I'm really just eating this up slowly, but I'm still eating it up. There is still a fly buzzing around, but I'm just gonna get a little further in this. Is it weird to lay on the floor? Because I am incredibly comfortable right now. It's fun to see the characters that I know are in the other books. Like, the second book is a relationship between Sasha and Ronan. Ronan is like Locken, who's the main guy character in this book's like right-hand man. And then Sasha, we like just met her in the story, but she's gonna be working with Mackenzie. And it's just fun to see them again, because I remember the characters, but I don't remember everything about them. I'm genuinely surprised when I say this series is like just as good as I remember. It's a fun one to pick up if you're trying to get out of a slump, like I am. Oh my god, there's a fly buzzing around my head that's actually driving me bonkers. Hello? I can like hear it buzzing around my ears. I'm just trying to read a book, buddy. Leave me alone. You guys are not going to believe this. Drum roll, please. I managed to read over 100 pages last night. Crazy! Of course this happened like the last day of the vlog. I wish I could have been doing this all week and actually like read more, but it is a realistic vlog. I have to keep telling myself that. But after I shut off the camera yesterday, I somehow found time to sit down and really get into my book, and I just flew through it. And then this morning I read a lot too, because I woke up very early this morning and I had some free times. I didn't do anything for the video, but it just so happened that I found time on the last day of the video to finish off this vlog pretty strong. So let me give you a page update. Yesterday yesterday was Friday and I read from page 67 to 110 of Crow. And then this morning, Saturday, I read from page 110 to 202. So I'm about 70% of the way through Crow on my Kindle, and that's the end of the week. So just as a couple last minute statistics, in total I read 313 pages this week. On average I read 39.12, so basically 39-40 pages a day, which to some people is a lot, some people it's a little, but then again, remember, some days I read nothing, some days I read a lot. So I got to page 202 in Crow, and then I got to page 111 in Tattoos of Auschwitz. Now I told you guys that Crow is definitely going better in my opinion, which is why I've kind of switched to this for the rest of the vlog. I do intend to finish this, and I'll update you guys in my monthly reading wrap up about how well this went. Just a little spoiler, it's very good. Okay, this is going to be a very high rating for me, but you guys will have to wait until my reading wrap up to hear my final thoughts. As far as Tattoos of Auschwitz, I do intend to finish this book, I promise. We'll see my thoughts about it again in that video, but after I finish Crow, then I'll get back and finish this one. And yeah, I'll update you guys soon with that information. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate you. If you want to see another vlog like this, let me know in the comments down below. If you want to follow me on all my social medias, including Instagram, Goodreads, Storygraph, they're all linked down below. I will follow you back on Goodreads and Storygraph. We can be book besties. And yeah, that's it from me. So subscribe as always, and I will see you in just a few days for a new video. Goodbye!